All right. Come on now. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we back in this thing. How y'all doing, man? I'm your instructor, Pierre Hui, aka Mr. P. The P is for patience. And while we get set up, I'm going to, well, while we live here, I'm going to get set up over here. So just give me a second. Let me see. What did she send me? Oh, that's dope. Okay. Oh, shit. Okay. $69. Had to remember that. That's what's up. Boom. Definitely. All right. Get all of this out of here. Let me see my comments. There you go. All right. So we got that. Read that book. We're going to go over here. We're going to do the same thing. Let's go to school page and go live. Been a little minute, man. I've been tripping. But we here, though. We are here. Okay, there we go. Which one did you want to do again?
The science.
Science. All right.
We can do social studies.
Well, do you need refreshing on the social studies?
Yeah, I need a little refreshing.
All right, cool. Go ahead and grab that book then. We're gonna go through this thing. Let's find it. Where did we start? U.S. history.
Yeah.
That's where you want to start.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, cool. 438.
30.
Yeah, 438. Okay, you want to just kind of skim through it, or did you want to go through it word for word?
Skim through.
All right, cool. First Americans traveled from Asia across the Bering Strait in North America. Native Americans established extensive tribal cultures, several advanced civilizations. In the late 1400s, explorers from Europe searched for a sea route to Asia so they could trade for Asian gold and spices. 1492, Christopher Columbus convinced Spain to finance a trip west across the Atlantic Ocean. Thought it was the New World, already had Native Americans there, et cetera, et cetera. Any of that we need to go back on? All right, cool. 1500, 1600, European nations, including Spain, France, England, Netherlands, established settlements in North America. Settlements were established to gain power and wealth or to provide colonists a place for permanent residence. First permanent English settlement was established in Jamestown, Virginia, 1607. And in 1620, the Pilgrims sailed to the Americans aboard what ship?
Mayflower.
The Mayflower established a second English colony in Massachusetts. Beginning around 1675, they began importing large number of slaves, forcibly taken from Africa. Many were put to work on the plantation system in the southern colonies. All right, cool. Colonies grew rapidly early 1700s. England defeated France in the French and Indian War, which was 1754 to 1763. England sought to regain more control over the 13 colonies. They also sought to recover economically from the debts caused by the war. New British taxes policies troubled the colonists, so it was not until 1775 that a war for independence seemed inevitable. After a series of skirmishes, you had the Continental Congress assign the guy that's on our $1 bill to lead who? That's right, to lead the Continental Army. Ordered publication of the what?
Declaration of Independence.
The Declaration of Independence on what day? July the 4th, 1776. Despite all of that, Americans had the advantage, and eventually you had the American Revolution. It lasted until the surrender of the British at Yorktown in 1781. Then in 1783, the final treaty to end the war resulted in recognition of an American independence. They formed a weak national government through the what? Through the Articles of Confederation. You are correct. This effort stressed a loose confederation of the states with strong local control. Over time, the principles of this government was established in the form of a what?
U.S. Constitution.
Yes, sir. U.S. Constitution. It was ratified in 1788. The counter fears of an overly powerful government, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, also known as what?
Routes.
Yeah, but what do all of those represent?
Bill of Rights.
The Bill of Rights promise many individual freedoms, such as freedom of speech and assembly. Do you remember some of those? You remember the raps? Give them to me. Start with the R.
Okay.
Freedom of
religion.
Yes, sir.
Freedom of assembly.
Assembly. Yep.
Freedom of petition.
Petition.
Yep.
Yeah.
Freedom of press.
Press.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech. You are 100% correct, sir. Any other amendments? Like it don't matter which one, but can you give me another amendment?
Let's see.
The right to what?
The right to bear arms.
Say it.
Bear arms.
The right to bear arms. That's a good one.
That's the third one, I think, ain't it?
Yep. All right. Okay. Part 2. Of course, the North and South diverged economically. North developed a varied economy. You know what? Do I have trying to think if I got a highlighter. I thought I had a highlighter in here. Because we can start highlighting some of these. Now see, when I need a highlighter, I can't find one. I swore I had one over here somewhere. Let me check one more thing, then we're gonna get back to it. All right, I got 4 people watching. Who watching, man? Somebody say hey to me. Somebody speak to me, man. I've been off it a little while. Now I am back. Oh, there we go. Now we talking. All right. So you got the North and South. They diverged economically. North developed a varied economy, including industry, commerce, as well as agriculture. So by the early 1800s, it was abolished in all northern states. Women and immigrants, as well as men, provided labor for the growing economy in the North. We can argue all of that, but for time purposes, we ain't gonna get into that. Okay. Southern economy based largely on agriculture. By the 1800s, one major crop in the South. What crop was that? Start with a C. So during slavery times, even with slavery, quote unquote, being abolished, what was the major crop in the South? And you could argue a lot of slavery had something to do with this one major crop. Start with a C.
The crop.
Yeah, but what you picking?
Oh yeah, cotton.
Cotton.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Planting and harvesting cotton required a lot of labor. Southern farmers came to depend more and more on slaves to do the work, and the number of enslaved people grew in the South. As the U.S. expanded during the early 1800s, the North to South worked to maintain a balance of power. New states generally added one slave state, one free state. There were increasing tension over the vast Western territory that had become part of the U.S. by the mid-1800s. In the 1850s, Congress voted that territories themselves should decide whether or not to allow slavery. This soon led to war in Kansas. People from both the North and South rushed to settle the territory. Voter fraud in the 1855 elections led to the setup of 2 warring governments. The violence in Kansas foreshadowed the violence that soon tore up the nation. In the late 1850s, political parties fractured over the slavery issue. 4 candidates ran for president. Who got elected in 1860? He's on our $5 bill. Abraham Lincoln. You are correct. Okay. He promised to halt the spread of slavery, although not abolish it where it already existed. That's politics for you. Opposed to Lincoln's policies, most slave states seceded from the United States. Who was the first state to secede from the Union? And I'll give you a hint. We sitting in that mud right now. South Carolina. We ain't going for this shit, they said. What shit? We want states' rights, a.k.a. the rights to have slaves. Right. And to use slaves for our labor, basically. Right? First one said, "We out this bitch, South Carolina." How about that?
Dang.
Damn.
What the hell?
What the hell? But yeah, most slave states seceded from the United States. They set up their own government and they called it the Confederacy. You were saying that earlier. You are correct about that. Okay. By April 1861, the United States called the Union and the Confederacy were at war. At first, it seemed as the Confederacy might win. They had well-trained military leaders. They had soldiers who were willing to fight hard to hold on to their way of life. So the Confederacy won many early battles. However, by the summer of 1863, Confederacy began to wear down. Ammunition, uniforms, shoes were in short supply for Confederate soldiers because the South lacked industry. Of all things, the South lacked industry. So some of the things that they needed were ammunition, uniforms, and motherfucking shoes.
Yeah.
Shoes, bro.
So they had everything up north?
Well, they had a better sense of an industry for it up north.
Yeah.
Not to say it was better, just they had more of a sense of it that they was going to need it for the war. Okay. All right. There were food shortages for soldiers and civilians. The war was mostly fought in the South, and the destruction was terrible. After 4 long years, in 1865, General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Union General Ulysses S. Grant, and it ended the Civil War. For the next 12 years, federal troops oversaw the rebuilding of the South. What is this period called? And it starts with an R.
What now?
So for the next 12 years, the federal troops oversaw the rebuilding of the South. This period is called what? And it starts with an R.
Reconstruction.
The Reconstruction period. It was after the Civil War. That's correct. After Robert E. Lee surrendered, for the next 12 years, you had what we call the Reconstruction period. Okay. Schools were established for former slaves who were all freed when the war ended, or so they say. However, the sharecropping system, which kept black farmers enslaved economically, soon came into being. Whites who came back to power as Reconstruction ended in the South in the 1870s prevented black Americans from exercising their right to vote. The Civil War ended slavery, but it did not end racism. That's right. All right, part 3, industrialization, immigration, and the progressive era. And Mark, what's happening, man? We'll do after 3. We'll just see how you feeling about the United States as emerging world power, and then we just go from there. Okay. All right. Mid 1800s, American industries, which had been growing steadily since the 1700s, began a period of extremely fast growth. What is this rapid growth called? Come on.
Industrialization.
That's right. Industrialization. Okay. We'll just say the ization of industry, damn it. Industrialization, damn it. But industrialization occurred for several interconnected reasons. With the addition of the vast Western territories, the United States gained natural resources. Among those resources were materials such as metals needed to manufacture new products and machines, and fuels such as coal needed to run these machines. Another reason was the invention of many new machines and industrial processes. With these new inventions, manufactured goods could be produced more easily, more efficiently, and less expensive. Okay. A third reason was the nation's booming population. The U.S. population more than doubled in the last 40 years of the 1800s. We know why. A lot of people smashing, a lot of smashing going on. There were more people to buy more goods, spurring commerce and further industrial growth. So that meant new factories were built in the mid-late 1800s. Most were built in or near the nation's large cities, including New York, Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. These urban centers had large groups of people who could work in the factories and large group of people who would buy the goods that the factories produced. Okay. The U.S. factory jobs drew many immigrants to American cities. Although the U.S. has always been a nation of immigrants, the late 1800s saw a sharp rise in the number of people moving here from foreign countries. The majority came from Europe, including Germany, Italy, Russia, Eastern European countries. Many also came from Mexico and Central America. Asian immigration was declining because the government had passed laws that barred the Chinese from moving to the United States. However, thousands of Japanese came to this country, taking jobs in farm fields and mines. Let's see. America's factory workers, whether native or foreign born, worked very hard at grueling and dangerous work. Many received low pay for long hours on the job. Over time, workers began to unionize, meaning they joined the union. Okay. By joining the union, workers pledged to work together for better and safer working conditions and higher wages. They called strikes when their employers cut their pay or refused to grant raises. Many of the laws we have today, including the 8-hour workday and the 5-day work week, came about through the bitter struggles for better working conditions that unions waged in the late 1800s and early 1900s. I'm sorry, y'all. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Unions weren't the only groups working to solve problems brought on by America's rapid industrialization. Some reformers worked to clean up slums, improve health care, and stop child labor. Others worked to preserve the nation's natural beauty by creating national parks. Still others worked to give more people a voice in government. For example, many women lobbied to gain the right to vote. In the early 1900s, groups were working toward so many sweeping social and political improvements that the time is called the blank era. Starts with a P. What you got? The progressive era. What's up, Tip? What's up? All right, you want to keep going?
So women,
Talk to me.
Women, they was allowed to vote. There was that. There was what is that? 19th or 20th amendment.
Yeah. Yep. It's up there. Somewhere.
19th or 20th.
Yeah. That's right. Come on. Yeah, one of these days we just gonna go through amendments, man.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You want to keep going? All right, cool. So now we got the U.S. as an emerging world power. Okay. The expansion of U.S. industries in the mid 1800s had an effect not only on the nation's economy, but also on its politics. So business, government leaders, they wanted to access more natural resources. They was also trying to figure out which industries needed to continue growing. So they wanted to be able to sell more goods overseas. So you got regions in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. They had rich natural resources, right? People in these regions might buy what Americans wanted to sell, right? To promote industrial growth and increase its power, the U.S. became imperialistic. Imperialism means the policy by which a strong nation or stronger nation extends economic, military, and or political control over a weaker nation or region. Bobo, what's happening? Yeah, imperialism. You want me to run it by me one more time? I'll say it one more time. So imperialism is the policy by which a stronger nation extends economic, military, and or political control over a weaker nation or region. So basically, big bank take little bank. Mm-hmm. Come finish this chip. I will. Where it at? Where it at, Tip? Where it at? I'll finish that. That chili was awesome. Quick shout out. Chef Tiffany Tip McGill, she made some awesome chili. I have been one of her taste testers. It is amazing. All right, back to it. European nations have been engaging in imperialism for many centuries. In the late 1800s, the U.S. joined in. In 1898, the U.S. fought the Spanish-American War. The U.S. declared war on Spain because of Spain's mistreatment of Cuba, which was a Spanish colony. Yet, after winning the war, the U.S. took over Spain's colonies of Cuba, Puerto Rico, the Philippines, and Guam. It granted independence to none of them. What kind of shit is that? Ain't that fucked up? That's crazy. The next war the United States was involved in was World War I. Began in Europe in what year? 1913 is correct. Pitted two groups of nations against each other. One group was called the what? Starting with an A?
Allies.
The Allies. The leading Allied nations included Great Britain, Russia, and France. The other group was called the what powers? The Central Powers. They included Germany, Austria-Hungary, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. Okay. The Allies, the Central Powers, fought for 3 years in what became a deadly stalemate, meaning nobody really gained advantage over the other person. Both of them was just equal at a stalemate.
Yeah.
All right. Straight like that. All right. So in 1917, the U.S., alarmed over Germany's sinking of American ships, they joined the Allies because you was fucking with our ships, Germany, right? With American help, in November 1918, the Allies defeated the Central Powers and World War I ended. Off of fucking with our ships. Damn. Right? Because the destruction was so terrible, some people call it World War I, the war to end all wars. Obviously, it was not, but that's another story for another day. However, this was not to be. Within 12 years, by 1929, world had fallen into a serious economic downturn, which we call the what? The Great Depression. This was way before Young Jeezy. That's another story. Well, his was Great Recession. I'm tripping. You on it. Okay. So economic problems, they aided the rise of fascism in Europe and elsewhere. Fascist nations, they squelched, or kind of like when they say squelch, they mean like just push aside democracy. Like, you know how somebody will wave it off? Fuck that shit. Right? That type of thing, right? So the fascist nations, they squelched democracy. They advocated the takeover of other nations. Germany, led by fascist dictator Adolf Hitler, started attacking smaller nations in Europe in the mid-1930s. Italy fought to take over Ethiopia in Africa. Japan attacked China. Hitler built an alliance with Italy and Japan, which came to be called the Axis. By 1939, war again broke out between the Axis and the Allies. Okay. King of Commentary, what's going on? Happy Wednesday, sir. Happy hump day. Thank you, Tasha. Well, she might be talking to you too, Kurt. So,
what's going on, Tasha?
What's up, Tasha? Yeah, not our Tasha, not Tasha Mack.
Oh,
Tasha Wesley, hairstylist.
Okay.
Yeah. But thank you, Tasha. All right. So the U.S. did not enter World War II until what year? 1941 is correct. When the Japanese bombed it. Well, you're gonna pass the hell out of this test. When you said it is again? Thursday. We're gonna get this one. We bringing this one home. All right. Japanese bombed the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Don't worry about that stupid ass movie. That movie was terrible. Yeah. But Pearl Harbor was that thing. That was one of the last straws, right? That type of thing, right? Okay. So U.S. didn't enter World War II, 41, Pearl Harbor. This time, Americans fought not only in Europe, but also in Africa and Asia as well. With its battles, the firebombing of cities, the Holocaust, and the dropping of 2 atomic bombs on Japan, World War II led to even more destruction in World War I. The U.S., which played a major part in the Allied victory in World War II in 1945, also played a major part in helping to rebuild a war-torn amount of nations after the war was over. Okay? Let's see. I think we can stop right there. We got about 23 minutes of information in like that. All right, y'all. I am your instructor, Pierre Huey, aka Mr. P. I will be back very, very soon. I'm going to jump off of the GED Prep and I'm going to jump into the barber theory, all of that good stuff. So, if you know anybody looking to get barber education, if you know anybody trying to get a barber, trying to get their barber's license, if you know anybody that keep failing their tests, their barber's test, their barber theory test, if you know anybody keep failing their barber practical, I am your guy. My link is in my bio. You can find me everywhere. That right there. Boom. At Pierre Huey. That you can find me everywhere there. Links in my bio. If you need to message me directly, you can do so. All of that good stuff. Hey, Crystal, what's up? What's up? I'm about to jump off of here for the GED prep. I'm about to jump back on for the barber theory under a different description. So I will see y'all in literally like 5 minutes. I'm gonna take a quick little break. I will be back at the. Okay, I will. I will be back after the jump. Okay. Y'all have a wonderful day if I don't see you for the next live. Anything you want to add, Mr. Kurt?
Nope.
Peace.
Monopoly.